Okay.
Cool.
How is Agent Maciek doing? Okay. Well, Michael, why don't you start your speech now, because we are not going to wait for this slide for the moment. We're gonna listen to you now. Okay?
Okay. So I guess you're expecting a speech. I will have to make up a speech right now, Patrick.
Hello. Hi, Michael.
All right. So
So,
first question is, who
yes,
understands what I'm saying right now? Raise your hand.
who understands? Oh, quite a lot, Michael.
Okay,
If you could
Patrick,
speak,
Irishman
yeah,
understands.
most people, the majority of people do understand you. If you just speak slowly,
Cool.
okay?
Great. So, one of the things that I said, I think I'm talking to a group of people who are entrepreneurs, right, or would like to be entrepreneurs. And I think I'm talking to a group of people who, by the way, I'm wearing a very special T-shirt in honor of you guys right now, which says, you see, it says, "Be a founder." Ta-da! Be a founder of a company. So, not everyone is supposed to be a founder, but I think everyone can be a founder, and I think it's wonderful. And also, just in a moment of California here, you'll notice that my hair is wet. And just to give you my bona fides as a Silicon Valley entrepreneur, the reason it's wet is I just showered. And the reason I just showered is I was just doing yoga a minute ago. So that actually happens in Silicon Valley. Yes, it is true. We wake up, we do yoga, we drink espresso, and then we go milkshake. That is true. So, I talk to groups of entrepreneurs and people who want to be entrepreneurs around the world a lot, and I find that there are a lot of myths. One myth that Europeans face is that you don't have an entrepreneurial culture, or you don't have a culture that's good for Silicon Valley. I don't think that's true. Definitely, the risk profile of a European is different from the risk profile of an American, and the cultural tolerance for risk among Europeans is sometimes different. At least in broad strokes. I would say, actually, how many of you are Eastern European? Are you all Polish? Are you all Polish? Is everyone Polish? Dude with the fucking iPad, who's
Apart
typing on the
from
iPad
Patrick.
and the glasses right in front of me. Are you Polish?
Yes.
You in the glasses, right there. Are you Polish? Looking at the phone. You're triple screening it, and I'm talking to you from America. I'm talking to you from California. You! Yes, you, right there. Are you Polish? I want you to pay attention. Everyone here is Polish. So one thing I will say is that actually Eastern Europeans often have a higher risk tolerance than Western Europeans. I think that you guys, for whatever reason, just have a higher tolerance for risk than some of your French or German or Spanish counterparts. That's cool. The other thing I would say is that, there's sort of a different work style. Some people say there's a different work style in Europe versus America, and that in Silicon Valley we work more. Maybe on balance that's true, but I find a lot of very, very hardworking European entrepreneurs. And so let's just get rid of the dumb myths, right? The other thing I keep hearing is that European entrepreneurs, when it comes to the internet, basically copy American entrepreneurs, and that's all they do. Well, that's true in Germany. It's true in Germany because there are a group of three brothers called the Sandberg Brothers. Have you heard of the Sandberg Brothers? Yeah, so you know about them. So they created a culture where everyone was copycatting American internet companies. But apart from that, British, Estonian, Finnish, Spanish, entrepreneurs in the internet, French, often have their own very unique ideas. And so, I think the first thing is to blow up some myths about what it takes to be an entrepreneur. You don't have to be a guy in Silicon Valley who's doing this. Thank you. That's very nice. He's taking a picture now of the thing. That's cool. You don't have to be a guy in Silicon Valley taking a risk in Silicon Valley, working on some kind of novel idea to do it. You do have an ecosystem in Europe. You do have the will in Europe. The last myth, I think, which is a myth that you guys don't want to hear probably, is that the biggest thing that's missing in Europe is finance, is funding, is venture capital. You know, I hear this all the time, that there's not enough money floating around in Europe, and you know, that's not true. You hear the same complaint in Silicon Valley, believe it or not, which sounds crazy to you, I'm sure, and is crazy actually. But there's money everywhere, and one thing that's reliable about capitalism is that it's self-propelling, meaning it moves itself, and it's very greedy, meaning if there's an opportunity, it will find you, right? The money will find the opportunity. So it might be easier to move to Berlin. It might be easier to move to London rather than Poland or a smaller town in Poland or whatever. That's true. There's always easier, but there's no shortage of opportunity. So those are the myths that we can blow up first. The number one thing I like to tell entrepreneurs or people who want to start a company is, if you don't know what kind of company to start, everyone has a company, right? It doesn't mean that everyone has an internet company, but everyone has a company. And the shortest way, if you want to think about what kind of how many of you have started a company already? How many of you still are running that company? How many of you have reached €1 million in sales per year? No shit. What's your business?
One hand up.
What's her business? That's interesting.
It's franchise in silver.
No kidding. I don't think I have anything to teach you about anything. I don't know anything about silver. But here's what's cool about that. Here's what's cool about that, right? So well, you can tell the group after I hang up. You can tell the group if this logic makes sense to you then, because I think it's a very good example of how to find the company that you should start. So, you know, one very easy mechanism is to develop two lists. The first list is stuff that you love doing, and here's the most important thing about these lists. These lists are completely private. You never have to show them to anyone. You don't have to show them to Patrick. You don't have to show them to your mom. You don't have to show them to your boyfriend or your girlfriend. It's a list of what you love doing, and you have to be very honest with yourself to make it useful. So the list can be, I love talking on the phone. It can be, I love gambling. It can be, I love making people feel good about themselves. Maybe your secret list is you like making people feel bad about themselves. Okay? You have to be very, very honest with yourself about what you love doing. The second is a list of what you're very good at doing. And you know, maybe you know something about silver. Maybe you know something about luxury. Maybe you know something about franchises. Maybe you know something about selling and you're good at it. And the reason you develop these two lists is that there's an overlap there's a space in overlap between these two lists. And that space in overlap is probably where your company should be. So I'm speculating here about the gal who began the successful business in silver franchise. Does that mean that you own a franchise that sells silver? Is that silver products like silverware?
Yes, it's silver and producing and having franchise. So having little shops around
Retail.
Poland.
And silver means silverware, like for forks and knives and things, or it means actual silver?
Actual jewelry.
Jewelry, great. So maybe you know something about luxury. Maybe you love luxury. Maybe you love jewelry. Maybe you love selling. Maybe you love community-based selling, which is often something that leads to franchise. So that's a list, right? I might love basketball, but I can tell you I'm very bad at basketball actually. So a career as an NBA star might have been my first choice, but it doesn't work for me. Okay, I'm a Jewish guy from New York. You don't get NBA stars in basketball anymore. It's not our population. It's a different population that goes to succeed in the NBA. So I had to come up with a list of stuff that I love doing and a list of stuff that I'm good at, and that's how I found my company. And then when it comes to the internet. By the way, there's a good reason for those two lists. You have to find what you love doing because you're going to do it a lot. You're going to do it all the time. So in the front, in the jacket, this fellow right here in the white shirt and the jacket, right? You have a company, right? Right here, right there. You, yes, you, right? You have a company. You have an internet company. Do you have an internet company? Who has an internet company?
Who has internet? Kto ma firmę internetową? Panowie z tyłu? Yes, the guys in the back.
Okay, so every day you talk about your company, right? Every day, right? And you have to talk about it 100 times per day, right? And after a while, it starts to feel like you can't take it anymore. You can't listen to yourself talk about it anymore, right? Right? After the first rule I learned on this topic was after you get to the point where you cannot listen to yourself talk about your business for one more second, when you cannot stand it anymore, you just can't take it anymore, that's the time when the first person is actually starting to listen to you. So the point is, you have to love it so much that your tolerance is very, very high, because you're going to do it ad nauseum. You're going to do it over and over and over and over again. And we have to be something you're good at, because if you keep doing something you're bad at, you'll just fail faster, which is not a good solution. So those are the two lists. When it comes to the internet, there are only two kinds of internet companies, basically. There's a Brave New World kind of company. Brave New World means I'm doing something for the first time that no one has ever done before. So eBay, Yahoo, Amazon, Intel, Apple. Then there's a second kind of company, which is a faster, better, cheaper company. And that's a company that will understand there's an existing market, there's an existing demand, and there'll be a population of companies that do it well, but you're going to do it better or faster or cheaper. And that is a good example of that is Google or Facebook, right? Facebook was not the first social networking company, but it was better. Google was not the first search company, but it was better. So those are the two kinds of internet companies. And by the way, it's worth deciding which one of those is more appealing to you, because you have a different set of skills for each of those kinds of companies. Faster, better, cheaper is 100% about execution. Execution, execution, execution. Does that make sense, the word execution in this context? You just have to be smarter and faster and harder working and more efficient and more correct every day than the other guys. Now, it does not mean you have to be more imaginative. Actually, sometimes it's a disadvantage to be imaginative. You just have to be better. So, if that's your DNA, if that's how you operate, if that's your process, that's a great kind of company for you. If you want to do something completely new, you have to have a Brave New World kind of company. You have to have a lot of tolerance for risk, and you have to be willing to be wrong a lot. And you have to have patience to navigate to the product and market fit. Does that make sense? The product and market fit? You have to find the product that the market wants. And that requires patience. That requires tolerance. That requires insight. So it's a different kind of business on the internet. And everyone on the internet talks you have to go faster, faster, faster. That's not necessarily the most important lesson when it comes to a Brave New World company. And it's very important to understand this, because this matters as a question of who you are as the founder, but it also matters about who you hire. Some people are execution animals, but they don't know how to do something new. And some people are very good at imagination, but don't know how to execute. So that spectrum, that mix, is very, very important when it comes to deciding what kind of company you want to start. Right? If you want to compete with online commerce for clothing, that's a faster, better, cheaper company. If you want to build the first inventory or index of online clothing, that might be a Brave New World company. Different kinds of talent, even though it's the same subject. Does that make sense? Patrick, is this coming across?
Patrick says, great.
They're polls, they never show any emotion.
Huh?
They are posed, they never show any emotion.
I can't tell if I'm being, so I can take the feedback. I can't tell if I'm if they can understand me, if they don't like what I'm saying, or if they're bored, or if they just are being unemotional. You're allowed to say you don't like what I'm saying. That's okay. I can take it. Here we go. Here's the guy who's talking. That's great. That's cool. This guy has something to say. What is he saying?
I said that we like to see only when somebody fails. So if you hear nothing, that means it's great. So you should be happy.
Oh, you like to see what's, oh, that's funny.
Okay.
That's funny. Only Polish people like to see when they're when someone's failing. That's depressing.
We are happy
So,
when
yeah, it's a little
somebody
depressing.
is failing.
I want to see you guys succeed. I want to come back next year and 5 of you have gotten 1 million euros in sales.
There is
what I want.
somebody who wants
And
to
then
ask
this
a
lady
question.
has 5 million euros in sales or 10 million euros in sales.
Well, let's raise our hands. Podnieśmy ręce, żeby pokazać, jak jesteśmy szczęśliwi. Look how happy we are with your presentation, okay?
You don't have to be happy. You don't have to be happy. I'm not like, listen, I like happy, I like unhappy. I just want something. I have to do faces. If you make me do faces, I'll do faces. What do you work with the internet guys in the back? What are you working on?
Oh. Here he comes.
Here he goes. Here's the entrepreneur. Here he is.
Hello.
Hello. What's your name? Sweet. What's your name?
My name is Maciej.
Cool. I can see you.
You asked what we are working
Yeah.
on. So we are working on some privacy algorithms and cryptography. And
Cool.
I have a question.
That's really cool.
Where should we start our next startup in this area? In the Silicon Valley, or we should start here in Poland?
Cryptography? It's cryptography, or it's like a privacy service?
We are working on privacy in terms of storing data and sending messages in a private way.
So something like encryption for messaging and storing data.
Yes, exactly.
Great. So I think that's super cool. You may know that I care a lot about privacy. That's sort of my central interest commercially. So Reputation.com is probably the largest company in the world in privacy right now. And you know, I always think it's an advantage to start a company. Let me say it this way: every company has 1,000 reasons to fail. That may make Polish people happy, but I'm talking about 1,000 reasons to fail, and 500 of them are in your control, and 500 of them are out of your control. The ones that are out of your control, the economy, maybe regulation, something like that, right? The ones that are in your control are the quality of your code, the quality of your product, how much you work during the day. And one of the things that might be in your control is where you start the company. So clearly, Silicon Valley is a special place. It's a place that is probably unique in the world right now, and probably will be for some time when it comes to technology and internet-enabled companies in terms of the number of high-quality engineers and other features of the so-called ecosystem. So I always think it's a good idea to consider Silicon Valley. I will say that Europe is a place where privacy technology has a very good market right now. Okay, so you want to be close to your customers if you have the opportunity to be close to your customers. You want to be close to engineers, close to maybe investors, but peers, colleagues, co-founders, and you want to be close to your customers if you can be. So my guess is that many of your customers are going to be in America, but that many of your customers are going to be in Europe. So, Europe, the good news about Europe is that it's actually fairly small, so that anywhere in Europe you can fly anywhere else in 2 hours, basically. So, and the bad news about California is that it's actually far from Europe. So, I think the question comes down to how many good engineers, because you're talking about a very serious kind of technology, how many good engineers or computer scientists, if it's real encryption / mathematicians, how many of them do you know very well in Poland? And if you have an advantage in Poland where you can find very good people who want to work for you because they know you and your colleagues, that's a very good reason to stay in Poland. You might have to set up a commercial office in Berlin or London or something like that, but if you have an advantage, that's great. On the other hand, if it's just 2 of you or 3 of you, and you're kind of by yourselves, and all of your friends have other jobs, and all of your friends do other kinds of jobs, then I think you might be a free agent, and I would revisit that question. There are very few people who have, a huge advantage. Like, I know all the really good guys in Poland, or I know all the really good guys in Romania, or I don't know all the really good guys in France. And that's a very powerful reason to stay where you are. It's probably the only excellent reason to stay where you are. You might have personal reasons to stay where you are, and those might be excellent, but those are not commercial reasons to stay where you are.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the question.
Thank you. Thank you, Michael. Does anybody else have a question?
There it goes.
Hi.
I seriously have no idea what you guys are thinking. It's hilarious to me. It's like usually I get like a little bit of like, oh, I'd rather be eating Doritos, or oh, this guy's so awesome, and he's like hilarious. I get some kind of response. This is like, I can't tell, you know what I mean? I'm getting a little bit of love. This guy with the glasses is now laughing. He's smiling. There he goes. Smiling. There he goes. The girl next to him smiling. Okay, I got 2 smilers. Okay. Next. What's the next question?
Okay. I'm working on personal branding, and marketing, business, and the mission ToRun is, in the end, is about networking, and I want to network with you.
I want to network with you.
Yes, I running a blog, expertologia.pl, and I want to read an interview with you if you want this. I can send you a questions, and my readers will be very happy. It's about to encourage them to be more entrepreneurial, to create their own business.
Sign me up. Sign me up.
Are you in?
I'm in.
Okay.
I don't write Polish, so someone has to translate my answers.
Thank you. And I need your email. If Patrick.
It's okay. You can reach me at michael@reputation.com.
Yes, Patrick will pass on your email. Okay, Michael?
Cool. Guys, yeah, so don't be embarrassed about this stuff. That's a very good lesson. If you believe in what you're doing, I love what this guy just did, because if you believe in what you're doing, just ask. I mean, no one like me is going to be annoyed. Just ask. Just ask. You have to ask. So the answer is yes. You asked, and I said yes.
Yes, great. Michael, you're such a celebrity that
yes,
we're just worried.
In Denmark, especially.
Whether,
in Denmark.
And we know that you are, we want to respect your privacy, and your reputation is so huge that we are just worried to ask that question, but it's great. We can share it with our agent.
Yeah.
Any more questions?
I can take one more probably, then I got to go, guys. Or we can call it this.
Okay. Yes. Here's Patrick.
Patrick!
Hey Michael, it's Patrick. How are you?
So here's a real entrepreneur, Patrick Young.
Real life, the genus entrepreneurs, eh?
Yeah.
Well, I actually had two things to say. The first one was actually, I think your reputation, as it were, only went through the roof last time we were chatting via this method, because you spoke at Mission ToRun, then we went home, and the next thing was I'm getting like messages pinged to me and going like, that Michael Fertik guy, he's on TV, and we turned over, and there you were, dubbed into Polish in some documentary made by, I think, a bunch of French guys or something. It
Who
was like
knows?
such a,
knows?
who knows? It was such a cool thing. It was appearing. I don't think Polish TV still understand why it was that, like in the ToRun demographic area, suddenly you were the second most watched program of the evening. But you know, hey, they'll work it out sooner or later.
That's cool.
I wanted to actually ask you something just quickly, because we talked a bit about geography. You obviously used to have a business that you ran out of Boston, True Exchange. And
Yeah.
I just wondered if you'd like to give us just a little bit of color on the difference between Boston and Silicon Valley.
Yeah, so it's a great question. So I'm 35, okay? So I'm talking about history that predates me. 25 years ago, Boston was bigger than Silicon Valley when it came to technology jobs. 15 years ago, they were the same size, and now Boston is probably 10% of Silicon Valley. I mean, it's collapsed. A lot of stuff has moved here. So as a place to live, there's no question that California is just awesome. Let me be clear. It's awesome. You can surf, you can bike ride every day of the year. It's ridiculous. It's unfair, okay? It's unfair. So there's no better place. It's like you walk outside, you want a thing, it's gorgeous, and then you make $1 million. That's California. Okay, that's how we do it in California. It's crazy. Okay, it's really nice weather, and they give you money. Okay, that's what they do. So there's no better place to live. On the other hand, I would say that right now, if I were starting a company right now, I would start a company in one of three places. One is here, Silicon Valley, because I have a network here and something of a reputation here and a track record here. Good. Number two would be Boston, because you still have, like in ToRun, an amazing set of universities there. You have, Harvard, you have MIT, you have many universities, and those are very smart kids, and they need jobs, or they can get very, very good kids. And I have an advantage in Boston, like this fellow I talked to a minute ago has perhaps an advantage in Poland. I have an advantage in Boston because I have a good network in Boston for hiring. And the third place would be San Diego. And why is it San Diego? Well, San Diego is an amazing place. There's, it's California. It's even more beach and even more blonde and even more fabulous than Silicon Valley. It's just amazing. But the difference is that San Diego has a large defense group of people who work in defense, national defense. They are chiefly Navy and Marines from the United States. And this is a very strong group of people in technology. They have a lot of a technology experience. And also, they don't like to leave San Diego. San Diego is one of the nicest places in the world, and you don't want to leave San Diego when you work in San Diego. So you have a certain advantage as an entrepreneur in hiring less expensive people in San Diego, though it's a smaller population. If you have a cool company, you can hire a lot of great people, and they're less expensive in San Diego. I would say Boston, comparing Boston to Silicon Valley, Boston is a more serious place than Silicon Valley. So if you have very, very serious technology, you can do it in Silicon Valley, but it's a great fit for Boston. Hardcore encryption, hardcore networking, hardcore technology. In Silicon Valley, if you have a gaming company or if you have a social media company, you don't want to do it in Boston. You want to do it where the cool kids are in Silicon Valley. Even in Silicon Valley, Patrick, it's a good question. There's a new spectrum. Silicon Valley, where I live, Palo Alto, is a little more serious, a little bit more hardcore. And San Francisco, which is an awesome place to live, is a little bit more gaming, a little more social media, a little more kind of fun e-commerce, right? Buying food, buying clothes, all that stuff. Silicon Valley is a little bit more harder technology. So there's even a spectrum here, and in the last 5-6 years, I've noticed that there are some people who want to live and work in San Francisco, and there are people who want to live and work in Silicon Valley, and they're not the same groups of people in general. Is that helpful, Patrick?
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Michael.
You guys are awesome. You're all very good looking, and you're all very smart, and I especially like all of you. And Patrick, thank you very, very, very much. And the beautiful blonde in the front, who's married to Patrick now, I understand. Congratulations. Hooray!
Hooray. Thank you very much, Michael. Really, it's been a pleasure. It's great to see you. I hope we will actually catch up face-to-face soon. I'm sorry I won't see you. Ironically, when you get to Monaco, I go to Berlin, typical.
Right.
I hope I'll see you soon, and thank you very, very much. Ladies and gentlemen, let's show some emotion and thank Michael Fertik for another great speech. Michael Fertik. Terrific. Michael, thanks. Have a great day. Bye.
Dziękujemy bardzo. A w tej chwili przejdziemy do naszego hashtaga. Maciej zaraz zaprezentuje. Mam nadzieję, że dużo się dzieje na hashtagu Mission Toruń. Tak jak zapowiadaliśmy, hashtagi użyte na Twitterze, na Instagramie lub na Facebooku biorą udział w konkursie z nagrodami. Także zachęcamy Was gorąco. Można brać komórki w dłoń, tablety również. Widzę, że już nasz agent z tyłu działa ostro.